Well, welcome back to Real Talk with DMJ. And we're welcoming back Mr. Chad Enright. To continue our conversation, I wanted us to go ahead and talk about vacating criminal records. And like we have expungement and then we have vacating. Can you share with our viewers the difference from expungement and vacating?
They are legally basically the same thing. And so there are two terms that get used back and forth, but what they mean is the conviction gets removed from your record, and that you can then tell anyone, have you ever been convicted of a felony? The answer is no. And so that's what vacating or expungement will do to somebody's record. For felony cases, we do those every Friday at 11 o'clock in Kitsap County Superior Court. And so you can go down to the Kitsap County Clerk's office. David Lewis and his staff will help you get that filed in court and get you a court date. And then we'll review it, we take a look at it and get it in front of the judge. And as long as you're eligible, and every conviction is different. Some require a certain period of time before you can get your conviction vacated. Right. And they're all gonna require that you have no new convictions or no pending cases. And there are some cases that are serious crimes that you can never get taken off your record. But as long as you're eligible, get into court at 11 o'clock on Fridays and get your record cleared.
Yes. Well, let's talk about this. I used to have a halfway house, or the homes that are out there, and it was Deborah's House of Hope, and I did it for sex offenders because one of my relatives was a sex offender, and I said they're always just throwing them out there, So that's why I started Deborah's House of Hope. One thing I noticed by having that, I had two of them, the homes that the ones who did a sex offense being with an underage girl, and that's all they ever done, but they got into other trouble, then there were some I had in the house that actually penetrated their children or grandchildren. But they had a lesser level on them. And then I was told I couldn't understand that because I'm gonna be example, my brother. He was a level 3, but he only did that one. But then some that had penetrated and did more serious crimes to their children and grandchildren, they were at a level 1. I was told that every time, even if you got that sex offense charge, being with the underage girl, that every time you do a crime, not that crime, another crime of something else, that the levels go up. Help me to understand that in my audience. So
for sex offenders, the Department of Corrections is gonna give them a level 1, 2, or 3.
Yes.
I think 3 is the most serious, 2 is in the middle, and 1 is the least serious. And that's what they're looking at is risk to the community. So a level 3 is somebody who the Department of Corrections thinks is the highest risk to the community. They're gonna consider the original crime.
Correct.
So that's gonna be part of it. They're also going to consider, did this person do sex offender treatment? If the answer is no, then they might get classified higher. If they have more criminal convictions that keep happening, they keep getting in trouble with the law, maybe they're failing to register as a sex offender, the Department of Corrections is going to look at that and they're going to say, okay, this person is not following rules. They might be a higher risk to the community. So maybe they were a 1, we might move them up to a 2 because they keep getting in trouble. Even if it's not another sex offense, they keep getting in trouble. So somebody who maybe has a serious offense, a serious sex offense, but a long period of time has gone, they've participated in sex offender treatment, they've had no other problems with the law, they might start off as a 3, but the Department of Corrections may work them down to a 1 to say, look, this person, we think this person isn't as much of a risk to the community. For a lot of cases, the Department of Corrections will do psychological evaluations. And they may do a psych eval that says this person is particularly dangerous. They are particularly likely to reoffend. So we're gonna put them as a level 3. That psych eval may say to somebody else, well, this may have been a one-off. they're guilty of this crime, but we think they're low risk to reoffend in the future, so we're going to make them a 1. So there are a lot of different things that the Department of Corrections might consider beyond just what that original case was.
So you tell me that choosing the levels 1, 2, and 3, it's up to Department of Corrections?
For the sex offender levels, that's right.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
So there will be levels of crimes. So we may charge a Class A felony, we may charge a Class B felony, we may charge a Class C felony. Class C felony is a low felony, a low-level sex offense. But if the Department of Corrections says, we have enough information that we think this person is a high risk to reoffend, that person with a Class C felony might be a level 3 sex offender, whereas a person with a Class A felony, really serious offense, if the Department of Corrections says this person is a low risk of reoffending, they might make them a level 1 offender. Probably unlikely with a Class A felony, but it's at least possible.
Oh, okay. That really helps me to understand the differences when I was running those houses about that. But I want to go back here, and it's so much. This is a good topic. When you fill out the document and the paperwork, we have an OSBI. So I know when I do the paperwork or individuals do their paperwork, we put in the FBI, the Washington State. But I noticed by doing so many of them, if you don't put in the OSBI on there, the state has their own background check, which I learned the hard way, and that has to be added in there. But on the forms and everything, it's not really enough room. You got to squeeze it in there. Then you have to, after you go through the process and you get granted, vacating your criminal record gets granted. We know they notify the FBI. We know they notify the Washington State Patrol. But the county does not notify OSBI. You have to, because I have an account with them, you have to notify them yourself, send in the paperwork, and then they send me a whole bunch of paperwork back and filling out for the client, for the individual who I'm working with. And why is that process like that? Why does not the county notify the OSBI? Because we have a lot of nurses' aides that come through that need their records to be cleared. Hospital people, that work in the hospital, anything with a state job.
I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, okay.
I think as prosecutors, we often just think about, this needs to go to the State Patrol and the FBI because that's law enforcement, and we maybe don't think about those other organizations that look at criminal history. So I don't know the answer to that. I don't know why.
But that's something that, we can go ahead and both look into together. Because that OSBI, and I have a long relationship, with that office because it's so many of them that I work with. But the state has that, and that's something that we need to get changed, or just have the county, once that goes through, to make that a point and talk to David Lewis them about it in that department, to notify them as well. Or maybe they can start talking and communicating instead of taking that extra step. Because there's that little space. I'll never forget, I got to put that in there every time, to make sure all 3 entities get notified that the person's record has been vacated and sealed or what have you. Oh, but that's something we can work on. We'll look into. Another thing, let's talk about gun rights. When people come in wanting to renew their gun rights or get,
restore their gun rights.
Restore. Yeah. Thank you. Restoring or do the application or process. Share something about that. So
we, just like we do with vacating convictions, we do restoring gun rights every Friday at 11 o'clock. And there's paperwork. I think you can get the paperwork at David Lewis's office, the clerk's office. I think you can also find the paperwork on the Washington State Court's website. And there are several attorneys in Kitsap County that can do restoration of gun rights cases. Anyone convicted of a felony will lose their right to own, possess, control a firearm. And so you lose that right until you come back to court and have a judge sign an order that will give you your rights back. So it will depend on your conviction. And again, like vacating, there's a period of time. Have you gone, for some it's 3 years or 5 years or whatever that period of time is for the conviction that you've got. You've gone that period of time without any law violations, without any pending criminal cases. You can go ahead, come into court. We'll double check your background, make sure everything's clear, and go in front of a judge, and judge will sign it off, and you get your gun rights back.
Okay, so let's talk about gun rights and mental health. Individuals that have had a mental health evaluation, they're not allowed to receive a permit to carry a gun?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So in terms of mental health, there are really two instances where you're going to lose your right to possess a firearm. One is if, as part of a criminal case, you are determined to not be competent. What that means is you either cannot understand the nature of the charges against you, or you can't assist your attorney in your own defense because of a mental health issue. And so you'll get evaluated by Western State Hospital, and if Western State Hospital says you are competent, you're fine. If Western State Hospital says you're not competent, you then lose your right to own, possess, or control a firearm. The other situation where you will lose your right to possess a firearm is if you are civilly committed. And civil commitment means that you are gravely disabled. You are unable to take care of your own needs of health and safety, or you're a danger to self, danger to others. And prosecutor's office, that's one of the things that we do. We do civil commitments, and in fact, I did them for many years down at Kitsap Mental Health. And we have doctors who will evaluate people, and we'll put them on mental health civil commitments for 14 days or 90 days or 180 days. And if you get committed, if you're found to be gravely disabled, you then lose your gun rights. Now, for competency and civil commitment, you can get your gun rights restored. It's a little more difficult than if you have a felony conviction, because what you will generally be required to do is go get a new mental health evaluation and go in front of a judge and explain to the judge, I'm better now. I have a doctor who has evaluated me, who's determined that I'm better now. I'm not a risk to myself. I'm not a risk to the community. I should have my gun rights restored. And then a judge gets to make that call.
Oh, okay.
And if a judge says, and I've seen situations where somebody was, maybe they were committed in 1994, 30 years ago. They've had no other mental health breakdowns. They've had no criminal law violations. They've been living their life, but they can't get a firearm because of this 30-year-old civil commitment. They'll have to go get an evaluation from another doctor and go in front of a judge. And in those situations, a judge more than likely is going to say, it's been 30 years. I have an evaluation that says you're doing well. I'm going to go ahead and restore your rights.
Well, that is good to know. I'm thinking of people in my mind. That's why I'm saying. They're going to say, oh, yeah, she did get there. She did get there. Definitely. Well, you know, one thing I'd like you to go ahead and talk with the audience, our viewers, is about your office, a little bit more about your office. How is diversity playing a role under your administration?
We are, I like to say we're the largest law firm in Kitsap County.
Oh, okay.
We are. There's nobody bigger than the county prosecutor's office. We are also, I think, the most diverse law firm in Kitsap County. We have attorneys from all race, gender, sexual orientation, but you have to concede that it's difficult because we're hiring attorneys, and we know from decades of history in this country that people of color have been restricted, have been not able to get into college, not be able to get into law school. So it's an ongoing process. We need young people of color who want to represent their community, who want to serve their community. Go to law school. Go to law school. Be a lawyer. Be be somebody in your community. One of the things that I will do, if you're from Kitsap County, if you went to high school here in Kitsap County and you're a lawyer, I will interview you.
Yes.
If you apply, because I want people who represent this community. I want people who know the difference between Seabeck and Suquamish.
Yes.
I want people who know Kingston from Olalla. I want people who went to Bremerton High School. Come be a prosecutor, be a part of our community. We should, as best we can, reflect our community. The law profession, I mean, we'll just be honest, it's very white. And so we got to make it easier for people of color to get into college, go to law school. And yeah, you can make big money at the big firms, but come represent your community, serve your community. And so that's important to me, that our office, as best we can, reflect our community.
Well, my thing, have you gone out to the young people and to encourage them, like spoke at the high schools, at Olympic, Bremerton, to encourage them? Because I think we need more of a relationship with our young people to encourage them. So have you thought about going out speaking at an assembly?
Yeah, I go and speak to several Olympic college classes every year, every quarter. I'll go to speak with them. I haven't been out in the high schools, but I would love to go to the high schools. I went to North Kitsap High School.
Yes.
And we have people in our office who went to North Kitsap. We've had people that went to Kingston, South Kitsap, Olympic. I want those local people because they care about the community. They care about the people that live here. You have to be dedicated to public service to be a prosecutor.
And since you said dedicated and to be a public service, I believe in the schools right now, the Rotary Club. I belong to the Bremerton Rotary Club, and they have a program called the Abbott. It's in the school system, and I think that would be a good start because they're teaching those young people in the high schools about being a public service, being committed. So I think that would be a good start.
And you know, one of the other great programs that we have here in Kitsap County through our county's juvenile department is something called Youth Court. And Youth Court is for high school students, and they will come into court and they will be a judge, the attorneys, the jury. They will decide not made up cases.
Yes.
They decide real cases, and they will impose punishment if they find somebody guilty. And they're not sending people to juvenile detention. They're not huge cases like that.
Yes.
But these are kids who recognize what they think a good punishment is or rehabilitation is for somebody in their court. So if you're interested in being a lawyer or getting into the justice system and you're in high school, contact the Kitsap County Juvenile Department. And,
you know I am.
And next year, I think in September, they probably start up a new youth court. And it's a program that we've been doing for many years now. And it's an incredible program.
I'd be very interested in that for some of our young people.
Let's connect on that.
Yes, no, we will.
Yeah. You can be a kid. You can go in, you say, I want to be a defense attorney. You can be a defense attorney. You want to be a prosecutor? We'll have you be a prosecutor. You just want to be on a jury and decide the case? You can be on the jury and decide the case.
You know, I'm surprised I don't even know about this.
I'll get you some information on it.
Yes, please do. You know, we're going to wrap this up, but I am really, really glad that we had you on the show, and I hope to my viewers who had questions that I didn't miss anything. If I did, charge it to my head, not to my heart. Definitely, because I want to make sure that I bring awareness and enlighten you of what's going on in our community here and bring self-worthy people here that can answer your questions, help you to move forth to the next journey, the next step in your life. Once again, we want to say thank you to our guest, Mr. Chad Enright. Thank you for being on Real Talk with DMJ.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. See you soon.